Hi, thank you for clicking on my video. I am Beth Ann of Beth Ann Stamps. And in this week's video, I am looking at the Nature's Prints with the Natural die set. And it's on page 90 and 91 of the annual catalog. We're also going to use some of this beautiful designer series paper, pattern paper. It's called the Sun Prints, and this is the Sun Print Suite. I just think it's so beautiful. The sentiments in here are also fabulous. However, for my needs this week, I need some sympathy cards. So I am pulling in the Inspired Thoughts stamp set for those sentiments to go with these designs. So let's just jump right in. We'll take a look at our first card. So here's our first card. And we're going to make this one, so we'll set it off to the side here. Pull in my little kit. So my base is cut at 5.5 by 8.5, scored at that 4 1/4. On the inside, it says sheltering you with love at a time when words fall short. And I brought in some of the design again to that inside. So our first layer is Blushing Bride. And then the next, and this one is 5 1/4 by 4. But as always, you can click on the coordinating blog linked below, and that will take you where all the card dimensions are. My next layer is Basic White, and I actually ran this through the Fern 3D embossing folder that is part of that suite. It just gives a beautiful look for the background. And this is cut 5 by 3 3/4. Now, before I glue this down, I want to put on a piece of that designer series paper. It just has a very subtle design on it. And this is 1.5 inches, and it should fit on here at 3 3/4. So I'm going to glue that on and then trim off any excess. So we'll just glue down and put it down here towards the bottom. All right, so that side's good. I'll grab a pair of scissors here and just trim off that little bit of excess. There we go. I find that's easier than cutting it and it being short. All right, so since this is an embossed piece of paper, I'm going to put a little extra glue on here just so it gets into all those nooks and crannies and really adheres down to my bottom layer. All right, and now we'll put this onto our card base. Try to keep that lid out of the way. Center this on here. All right, so what I'm going to do is I stamped, this is Blushing Bride to match my mat, and then die cut these out. And this was like the wheat, and that was stamped in the gray granite to match my card base and to match this paper. And then I brought in some Mossy Meadow for that fern. I just really like how those colors go together. So let's put these down. I'm going to glue these. I'm going to lay my sentiment here so I know where I want these to be. So I'm just going to put that in the background. And I'm going to put this one down right in the middle. And then we'll do the wheat on top of that. These stamp beautifully and die cut beautifully. So they make for a very pretty card, very subtle. And on the front of this, to go with what we had on the inside, I am stamping this up with dimensionals. And this die cut for this label is also in those coordinating dies. So it's a very nice label. So we're just gonna put that down with dimensionals right on top of those. So there we have with heartfelt sympathy. If I could get it straight, I might have pushed it down a little too much. Let's see. There we go. With heartfelt sympathy, sheltering you with love at a time when words fall short. And then I wanted some gems here. I still feel like that's a little bit crooked. Maybe it's just my eyes today. All right, so I brought in my pearls. They're a go-to for me a lot because then I can take my blends, and this happens to be the dark gray granite, and I can just take these and color these any color I want. As you can see, I have all different colors on this sheet, so we got those colored, and then I'm just gonna pick one up and put it on. Oh, come on, stay on each side of this label where my sentiment is. And there's our card, first card. So all right, so now let's move that one out and let's bring in the second card. This one, instead of building the background as I did, I am letting that designer series paper do the work for us. And this paper is beautiful. This is the one I did, and it went around the side. And so I cut the side off here, and then I have this to use also. But it's so pretty on its own. So let's go ahead and make this one. This one again, I did the 5.5 by 8.5, scored at that 4 1/4. I brought the fern inside with heartfelt sympathies. So let's build our front piece. We are going to start with a piece of basic white. These dimensions I think are a little different. This is 5 1/8 by 3 7/8, but again, it'll be in that coordinating blog below. And then my pattern paper, designer series paper, is 5 by 3 3/4. That paper's so gorgeous. You don't need to do much else with it. And I hate to cover it up. So we're just going to do that. It's going to give that little tiny bit of white around there to separate it from the back of the card. But before I put it down, I do have some white ribbon here with some silver along the edges. And I'm going to put that around the bottom of this card. I put a little bit of tape there to hold that in place while I wrap my ribbon around. I think we're good there. You know what? Let's move it up a little bit because I want to put some of those, some little cut pieces at the bottom. We're going to move this one up a little bit from the other one. And then once I have that where I like it, I will cut off this excess. Don't need that bulking up underneath the card. And then we'll go ahead and glue this down. I put a little bit on the ribbon itself. There we go. Looks a little off, doesn't it? Okay. It's a nice thing about this glue. I moved the Tombow glue to a different container, but I like that I can reposition. It gives me a little bit of drying time there. All right. So there's that. Then what I'm going to do is, again, I use that label die. This time I put sending healing thoughts your way. And take these off. And I'm going to place this right in the middle of that ribbon. If I can get that lined up. There we go. Now, in this die set, there are just some little leaves or stems, whatever you want to call them. So I punch them out of white paper. Let me pull them up here. Oh, we got a lot of them. So I punched them out of white paper. I also took a piece of that DSP that's the gray on one side and a blue on the other. And so we're just going to put some of these around here. I'm going to start with the white to sort of separate it. They're very subtle. You're not going to see them unless you're really looking for the detail, but it does add a little bit of dimension. So I'm even going to use the blue here. A couple little dots. And then I'll find a little gray one. All right. So we're going to put those 3 there. And then I'm going to take the longer ones and I'm going to put them over on this side. So again, just adding a couple little dots. Let's see if that's going to be, oh, not too long. So there, and then I'm going to bring in a blue. Put that right on top of there. And then we have the gray one. It's nice that this paper is double-sided. You can let the paper do all the work for you. And I'm just going to put that gray one right there. And then for this, I had some, I think they're retired. They've replaced them with a different style. But I wanted to bring in these silver metallic little dots to go with that ribbon. See right there in the middle. So there we go. Move some of this out of the way. So sending healing thoughts your way with heartfelt sympathy. So we have 2 very different looking cards. This blue and white. And then these, the gray granite and the blushing bride colors. But I think they're both beautiful, and it shows you can do drastically different things with the same stamp set. And pull out, if you're not liking the sentiments in one, if they're not meeting your needs, pull out another one. They go very well with this. So this was a short, sweet video this week. I hope you liked it. Please, I would appreciate you giving me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. I'm really trying to grow my audience, and I appreciate everybody that takes the time to watch them and subscribe. I hope you have an amazing rest of your week, and we'll be back next week, same time, same place. Thank you. Bye-bye.